Hi all, I want to share a video from a channel called Ethiopian World Net. Would like to share this person's videos because he had stumbled onto something long before I had, and I think some of the points that he brought up were worth hearing by everyone. And also I want to essentially give this person credit for discovering this before I did. And so while he may not come to the same conclusions that I come to, he still stumbled onto the symbolism of the eye in the King James Version Bible long about maybe 4 or 5 years before me. And so I think he deserves to be recognized for that. Now, he is also not Christian, not exactly Christian. He's a Rastafarian. So I don't recommend anyone who is Christian really buy into a lot of the other things that he has to say. So I'm only giving you this link of his and this video of his to share some of the information that he came up with, not to send you to his channel for you to start learning from him. Another thing that I want to bring up is that there isn't a lot, but there is some imagery in here that is a little bit on the sexual nature. The women are clothed but barely clothed, so you're going to see a few pictures that he's going to show you that is a little risque. So if you struggle, if you're a person who struggles with these sorts of images, and you can't get through that without sinning, then I would suggest that you either skip a few minutes ahead in the video or just not watch it at all. But and also I would like to point out that I don't agree on all of his viewpoints on the Bible. In my opinion, the King James Version translation is translated I would say perfectly. Now there are some things that don't always lead to the best understanding, but as far as I believe, there is nothing wrong with the King James Version translation, and every word is in there for a reason. So while this may not be the best, the example that you will see, while it may not be the best example of a great translation, I still believe that that translation is there for a reason, and possibly because it leaves open more interpretations, and maybe that was God's intent, to leave open more interpretations. So without further ado, I will let you hear the video from Ethiopian World Net, and I will leave a link to the original video because it's only fair to do so. So thank you for watching, and Jesus bless you.
So now that we got that part out of the way, let's see what our brother Gerald Macy, who has been so misquoted and misused by the so-called Luciferian Satanistic New Agers in their war against Christianity and religion. Let's see what Gerald Macy says for himself about this. Now, this is roughly about page 168 of a book called A Book of Beginnings by Gerald Macy. And here, let's just read part of this for you. Here, Gerald Macy says on this particular point that the oracle as mouthpiece of the deity figured on the ephod was the feminine symbol. I want you to bear that in mind. The feminine symbol, the mut, or mother mouth. This was the same image as that of the woman who sat in the midst of the Ephali, called wickedness. So there's a woman that sits in the midst of the Ephali, or the Ephah rather, called wickedness, whose resemblance was through all the earth. On account of this similitude, Macy goes on to write, the mouth being the same symbol in Ephah, or ephod, the weight of lead. The weight of lead was cast upon the mouth thereof to dam it up, when the earlier worship had been cast out as worship. So the earlier form of worship was cast out, not as worship, but as worship. Now, see, Macy is clearly referring to this ephah or ephah and extending it now to what the Bible prophets saw and understood. Let's go further. The kebar. The kebar is the genitalia muliebria. The genitalia muliebria, a pleasure chamber, and the vault of heaven. You know, when the Bible talks about they worship the goddess of heaven, it goes on to say in Hebrew, this is the primitive type of the Kaaba, of the Muslim at Mecca, the feminine abode. Now it has another Hebrew word, the translator has it somewhat backward here, but one is gawa, go, and one is golf. It says the gawa, or the golf, or the golf, is the belly, the womb. And then it says right here that the kebar, or the kibar, is a cave, a hole in the earth, a tomb, like the Ethiopic word. This was a place of divination, like the cemetery, founded on the oracle of the womb, or the degenerate motherhood. Now Isaiah speaks of the Kabirs who sit in grave vaults, or the Kibarim, and seek declarations concerning the future. Now this sounds a lot like this New Ageism and this stuff that's going on, this Illuminati, a shrine, a measure. The ephah was the image of the iniquitous through all the earth, because it was the feminine type. So now when we really look at this eye, let's look at this eye again. What's really behind this eye? What's behind this oin, this resemblance, their resemblance in all the earth? What is that symbol? What is that emblematic figure of the degenerate femininity, or the old motherhood? Can you see it? Can you see it? You want to see it? Well, here, you've seen it already. Now notice this right here. This is, on one side, this is Nikki, this is Little Kim on this side, Little Kim, in the symbolic posture of the degenerate mother goddess, or the degenerate feminine principle. This is her right here. Now Little Kim came before this one over here, but she is also doing the very same symbol, in fact seeking to outdo her predecessor, but still perpetrating that very same imagery, this very same imagery. And we could show you some archaeology dating way in the past, and they find where they don't find anything else from these long dead, gone tribes. They find some etchings and some carvings and some paintings with this particular symbol. So these tribes, which are long deceased and gone, because of that old mother goddess, that woman of wickedness that was cast out. You see, that's the first, that's the Babylon type. You see, this is the Babylon type. Now, one must recall that in the scriptures, there's another woman besides Babylon, the rightful woman, which is the New Jerusalem. But this here is what's behind their symbol or symbology in all the earth. Another point that we just want to make, since we have the imagery available to show ones and ones, let us bring this up. Well, you already know this is on the dollar. This is your so-called dollar bill. This is the so-called a Europeanized version or perversion of the Eye of Horus. And this right here is an artist's rendition of the pyramid with the blue-eyed, all-seeing eye right here. And the Muslims have something interesting to say about this so-called one eye. You understand? But now we know that this one eye was already prefigured in the scripture in Zechariah 5 and 6. But you will either have to get a so-called good Jewish version, like right here, where they'll tell you that this is their eye in all of the land, and not just rely on the so-called King James Version, which will say this is their resemblance. So the Jews over here, they know the truth, you understand, in their version, but then the Christians have the perversion, Oinam, Zot Oinam. See, it's right there. So the Jews over here have it correctly translated. This is their eye. Not just resemblance. It is a resemblance, but it is an eye. Now, one thing also, if you notice over here, if you look at this over here, you can see it's the same sort of shape. If you artistically understand it, it's the same sort of shape right here in the two. If you look at Nicki Minaj and put her next to the eye, you understand? Nicki Minaj next to the eye. And then you put her predecessor over here, Lil' Kim, next to the eye. You understand? Next to the eye. You see it's the same shape. It's the same symbolic shape. But now that pyramid right there, what's interesting, it's not really the pyramid, it's not this pyramid. If you know anything about geometry and shapes, you can see it's a totally different angle of this pyramid, you understand, and the pyramid on the dollar. But the real pyramid that it really is this pyramid right here, or these pyramids. If you recall, this is the Merowe. These are the Merowe, or in the Sudan. This is why the Sudan was like in the news a lot over the Darfur and other things, because they wanna continue where they left off, and where the Roman Empire left off was in the Merowe. They did not go below the Merowe. So we have in World War II, starting out World War II, Mussolini is seeking to invade Ethiopia, the whole Ark of the Covenant, Raiders of the Ark thing. But what they recognize is they really have to go back, you see, go back to where their predecessors left off. So if you look at this pyramid and this pyramid right here, the interesting thing you'll notice is the very same angle. This is why we superimpose the eye on top of this pyramid, and as you can see, it fits the right angle. So it's not an Egyptian pyramid, so to speak, but it's actually a Merowe, or the Sudanese, the Ethiopian pyramid. This is really an Ethiopian pyramid, what would have been called the Ethiopian pyramid or the Kushite pyramid, you know what I'm saying, and not the Egyptian pyramid. You can just look at the angle and see the whole difference in the angle of the triangle to notice the difference right there. That's just a curious point that no one really seems to touch on, but I'm sure that ones know. So it's another way of them putting out information, some information, but then still leading you astray with distraction, just like we found within the King James Version of the Bible for their eye. The translation and every other word was correct, except that one word there that would reveal. Imagine if that was there, and people could look in their King James Bible without going to the Strong's Concordance, the 58, 99 or 69, and look it up and just see it right there without having to look it up. Then they would realize more of what the method behind this particular madness is. So this is that symbol of the woman of wickedness. This is the symbol of the woman of wickedness, who is in that ephah, who is in that unrighteous measurement that is symbolized by this eye. And notice the eye is detached, because the eye is able to float. It's able to move around. This is their eye in all the earth. Everyone, if you take this off of the dollar and give people around the world the dollar, the spell would be broken. This is why they keep money in circulation, because of this powerful symbol, these powerful magical talismans that they have on here. I mean, this has so many things in it. You understand? But this is the centerpiece right here, this particular eye. Even if they go to a cashless society, they first have to bring everybody on board first, probably try to put a chip in everybody or something else, or create some other form of holographic magic, because when you see the dollar, you know, when you think of the dollar, what you don't think of is this, but this is the magic behind it. This is why they suppress within the Bible, you understand, the translation of the Bible, this important, very important word, which would reveal both their particular symbol, you understand, as well as this woman that's known as wickedness. So once again, go to Zechariah 5 and 6. Look it up. See this word right here, resemblance. You understand? When you see this word resemblance, then look this word up. And when you go look this word up, you will find that it comes down to this, oin, which means an eye, both in the literal sense, literally or figuratively. And this matches and meets the bill for both of them. So Shalom, Rastafari.